classroom?
I think that collaboration can be if two writers are actually working together on something. And I think they should do that in the classroom. And actually, there was a classroom I went into, we started independent writing time, and two of the writers just wanted to work together. They just did it all on their own. Hey, let's write something together. And they did, and it worked well for them. And they were very hesitant writers anyway. And so it was great. And I don't know if it continued forever and how the teacher handle that. But then I think it's also a collaboration with, just even if you're writing your own piece, but you get to talk to a fellow writer in the classroom about it, and be a sounding board and get some information. And even if they do have an idea that might be helpful, a different, better, and you use it, and but just knowing that it's not, I feel like sometimes educators think it's like cheating, for them to get help with someone else, because then what they write down isn't really theirs. But that's what writers do, right? They learn from everyone, whether it's someone you can speak to or another book that someone wrote. And so that collaboration is just helping you to be a better writer.
Mhm. Well, our first book together, mine and Charles, Can I Touch Your Hair? Poems of Race, Mistakes, and Friendship, is about two kids in a fifth grade classroom who are paired together to work on a writing project, and how their friendship develops as they talk, through the lens of race about their lives. And I was in a classroom recently. Anne-Marie Corgle, whom you may remember from the conference, she has a jar, and in the jar are popsicle sticks with each of the kids' names on them, and they will pull a stick for who they're going to pair with. It's like this whole who you're paired with is a big thing. And then you've got other kids who requested, like they wanted to work together because they're good friends. And I guess I would encourage both ways of collaborating, by choice, but also not by choice, because there's so much growth that can happen through either someone you already know or through someone who you have a lot of differences with or perceived differences with.
Right.
And that can make, mine and Charles's differences are as valuable as our commonality. We love poetry, but we have very different, so many other different things that makes our work stronger. And I think kind of emphasizing that to kids, that this makes you better to have this, these differences.
Absolutely.
You don't have to fold yourself into the spirit of the other person and become that person. You can still be you, but see things in a different light. And try to understand where they're coming from, and respect it.
Right.
You know, the exterior of Irene and I, Irene is more quiet. I can be more exuberant, especially when it's something I'm passionate about. Irene feels the same way I do. She just keeps it inside. That's what I've learned about people who are introverts. I really understand it now in the way I didn't as a child, and in my 20s and 30s, quite frankly, I didn't know. Feel just as strongly. Sometimes they feel more strongly than most extroverted person. They just don't show it.
Yeah.
And it's respecting that and not forcing someone to be something they're not, but let their natural personality, and whichever way they choose to show it, come out.
Right.
I think I can't stress that enough.
I think it's
Highly
also
important.
a sense of safety. And I know that, what teachers, have to provide, if any of this is going to work, is this safe space for kids, and helping kids realize that in their collaborations, with just one other person, that safe space has to be established, for anything to happen.
Yeah.
So if you feel like you're not being heard, that's not a safe place. If you feel like, you're being heard and you're being mocked, that's not a safe space.
Yeah.
So how can we make each other feel safe?